So the Nintendo Switch 2 is the fastest selling console of all time. So hey, you would think that the games would be going just as fast, right? Well, that's not necessarily the case because we are getting reports that third-party games are way lower than the expectations. Like these games are just not selling. I have a lot to say about this. So if you guys are coming to the channel for the first time, please click that like and subscribe button. Look, I live in Florida. It's hot. I'm sorry. I'm wearing a tank top. I know I'm overweight. I'm a beast. I'm horrible to look at. So here's Mario. Look at Mario. So yeah, I have thoughts on this whole third-party situation on why the games just aren't selling. If you go over Twitter, you can see a lot of people are reporting on this news, and I just want to kind of throw my hat in the ring, kind of just give my thoughts on it because I really feel like this is not as big a deal as many people are making it out to be. So the reason why I feel like this is not a big deal is for several different reasons. Okay, it's sort of like a death of a thousand cuts. It's just not one simple reason. A lot of people want to point out like one or two reasons. Well, a couple of the reasons are, well, let's throw the key card situation in, okay? That seems to be something that a lot of people are pointing out. It's the key card situation. The full game is not on the cartridge, so these are just key cards, okay? That might be one explanation, but I think the bigger explanation is that a lot of these third-party games are games that people already played, and people aren't willing to pay a full price to play these games again on the Nintendo Switch 2. Like I didn't buy a Switch 2 personally. Has nothing to do with the hardware price. It has everything to do with the software price. I can't justify spending $80 for Mario Kart. How much is Cyberpunk? $60, $70. And then if you want to get like Zelda, that's another $70. Like it's just too expensive. Let's be real. Hardware, I'm fine with. Software is too expensive, and I'm not going to pay $450 up to $500 for the hardware if I'm not able to buy software for the hardware to get my full enjoyment of the Switch 2. It just doesn't make any sense. Financially, it just does not make any sense. And I think that's another reason why people are not buying these third-party games. First of all, games like Street Fighter and Yakuza and all these games have been out for, well, in Yakuza, like what, almost a decade? Street Fighter, 2 years now? Like people that wanted to play these games already played these games. They're not gonna pick it up on the Switch 2. It's like, oh, I got a brand new Switch 2. People picked up Cyberpunk. Let's be real. People picked up Cyberpunk because they wanted to see how it was going to run. People bought a Switch 2. They got Mario Kart. And then they picked up Cyberpunk, their third-party game, because they wanted to see how well it was going to run. And some people were actually, they're fans of the game. The full game is on the cart, so they're like, okay, we're going to go ahead and buy Cyberpunk. The full game is on the cart, where you look at all these other games and they're not on the cart. So I do think the cart situation has a small role to play in the low sales. But I think that the fact of the matter is that people aren't going to pay full price for games that are old and games that they probably own on other systems. Like, for example, Yakuza, I own that on Steam. Street Fighter, I own that on PS5. So if I would to have bought a Switch 2, I wouldn't have bought either of those games. It made no sense for me to pick up those games if I bought a Switch 2. Mario Kart is a given. That's the game that everybody's going to be picking up. People want to play Mario Kart. Like, if you did not buy the bundle, Mario Kart is going to be the game that you pick up. These other games, whether you're looking at like Hogwarts Legacy, again, that's a game that's on the Switch 1. Sonic and Shadow, that's on the Switch 1. People have those games. They just play backwards compatible. It might not have all the bells and whistles with, upgrade with the next gen and all that stuff, but whose fault is that? You should have just put like an upgrade path, like here's $10 and here's an upgrade for these games. A lot of these games that you see that are third party that have been out for a while now, a lot of people aren't going to pick these games up. You buy a Switch to play Switch games. So yes, Mario Kart, Donkey Kong, these games are going to sell. Third party games, you need to come out day and date. People aren't going to pay full price for these games that are 1 to 2 years older. In the case of Yakuza, almost a decade older. It doesn't make any sense. Star Wars Outlaws is on this list. I don't see that selling particularly well. One, it didn't sell very well in general. And now you're going to sell it, what, a year later on the Switch 2. This is probably going to be a $70 game, at the least $60. I don't see that selling very well. Again, all these are key cards. But the fact of the matter is this. People don't want to play games that they already played on the Switch 2. People are going to buy the console, and they want to buy games for like they want to play their Mario Kart, their Donkey Kong, and so on. Now, with that said, if a third-party game comes out and is day and date with Switch 2 and all the other consoles, then yeah, it's gonna sell well. It is, right? So like I can't think of an example right now, but let's just say hypothetically, I'm just gonna make up a game. Metal Gear Solid 3. Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta, okay? The remake that's coming out. Now, if it comes out and it's on Xbox, on PlayStation 5, on Steam, and on Switch 2, day and date, then I could see a lot of copies selling on the Switch 2. Maybe not as many as it would on Steam or PlayStation, but there would be a lot of copies sold on the Switch 2. But you can't release that game on everything and then in 2026 say, here's Metal Gear Solid Delta, and expect it to sell well. Like, it's not. People that want to play it already played it. They already bought it. We're not in an economy where people are gonna double dip on these games, right? This isn't 2017 when the economy, like I used to do that. Back in 2017, I double dipped all the time. I would have games on the PlayStation and Xbox, and then I'll be like, oh man, it's on the Switch now. I can take it wherever I want. Man, I'm going to buy this on the Switch. I don't care if it runs at 20 frames per second at like 12 by 720p. I don't care. It's portable. I'm going to get it. Completely different times now. And I know that the Switch 2 hardware is better than the Switch 1. And it has better resolution, better frame rate, and all that. The economy is completely different. You can't charge $500 for your console, $80 for your exclusive first-party games like Mario Kart, and then expect people to be able to afford to buy these third-party games, a lot of which people already own on better hardware, mind you. Not only that, Switch also has competition this time around. The Steam Deck. Now people can sit there and roll their eyes and go, well, the Steam Deck only sold like 3 million copies. The Switch 2 already outperformed it. True, but the hardcore people that would be buying these third-party games already own these games on Steam. So they're playing it on their PC. They're playing it on their Steam Deck. PC is a huge market. People don't want to realize, like, people don't want to admit this, but PC is a higher market than the PlayStation 5. Everybody thinks PlayStation 5 is the market leader. PC is the market leader. And a lot of people just wait for sales and stuff, like Star Wars Outlaws. I own that on PC. Hitman, I own that on PC. Like, all these games, Split Fiction, like, all these games I can get on PC, and I already own on PC. So if I wanted to play them, I would just play them on my Steam Deck if I want to play them portably, right? If I want to play them portably, I'll play them on my Steam Deck. I'm not going to double dip so I can have the Switch 2 copy and then it'd be a key card copy. So there's a lot of different factors involved, but I think when you're really looking at it, it comes down to, look, people, this ain't 2017. People don't have that much disposable income. Yes, the Switch 2 sold faster than any console. Okay, faster than any console. Switch 2 sold, what, 3.4 million in like a week or something? Like, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. But that's the hardware, okay? When it comes to software, people are going to be very selective on what they spend their money on. Like, one of the biggest problems, and I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but just kind of bear with me. One of the biggest issues that you see a lot of PlayStation CEOs kind of bring up is, yes, we sold like 75 million copies or 75 million units, PlayStation 5 units, but yet they're not selling the software. Like, you see like 75 million units, but only only sold like 10 million copies of God of War Ragnarok, right? Like that number doesn't make any sense. You think everybody who owns a PS5 will buy Ragnarok. That's not the case. A lot of people buy the PlayStation 5, and to be honest with you, they're either playing Fortnite, God, or Call of Duty, Madden, NBA 2K. Like the average player, they just play their Call of Duties, their sports games, and free-to-play games. That's all. Not every PlayStation 5 owner buys these first-party games. They just don't. Nintendo's sort of the opposite, where everyone who pretty much buys a Switch, you're buying a Switch for the first-party games. Because if you're going to buy third-party games, you're going to buy third-party games on the PlayStation or PC or Xbox. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is, unfortunately. So with these sales being the way they are, this is not a surprise to me. I bought Sonic Shadows Generations a year ago. Perfectly compatible on the Steam Deck. Played the whole thing on Steam Deck. Like, there's no reason to pick this up on the Switch 2. And I think that people that purchased the Switch 2 bought it for the exclusives. They all got their Mario Kart game, and they probably picked up one extra game, and they're like, Cyberpunk, I heard a lot about this game. A lot of people are like, hey, you know what? I want to see how it runs, and that's the game they pick up. Now, maybe if they start doing more day-and-date third-party games, those sales will go up, but for the most part, people that already bought these games on other consoles aren't going to rebuy these games again. Just does not make a lot of sense. Not in this economy. Not in this economy, I'm afraid. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents. That's my thoughts on it. I kind of rambled on, kind of went off the path, but then came back on the path. But thank you guys so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you stuck around to the end, you must really like me. And if you do, please do me a favor. We're almost at 8,300 subscribers here on the channel. We can only cross that number with your support. So please click that like and subscribe button. I will catch you guys later. Until next time, thank you for watching.